this. Hold up.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. It is now 2021, which is really crazy to think about. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my 2020 year in books. So basically, I'm going to be talking about every single book that I read this year, and I'm going to be sharing my favorites, and then I'm going to be sharing maybe some I didn't like, and I'm also going to be looking at my Goodreads year in review, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of those stats. So I just want to make a big disclaimer on this video before we get started. Yes, this is a book related video, and I've never done one of those before, but I really wanted to do this video because I do really love reading. No, my whole channel is not going to become book related, so don't think that or anything. I just wanted to do this video. If you are maybe a booktuber or someone from that community that likes watching those videos, please don't be too harsh on me. So I wanted to talk a little about this year and my reading journey, I guess. Obviously in 2020 we had a quarantine where no one was really working except for essential workers and everything. So my whole family was home. I was really bored. I wasn't working anymore. Thinking about things that I could do to be semi-productive and just to keep me entertained. And I remember at the beginning of the year, my sister Bailey, who is really into reading, she has been into reading for so long. She really influenced me beginning to read again this year. She recommended me the book The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but that was towards kind of the beginning of the year, so January or February I think is when she recommended that to me. And I think I read about 50 pages in it, and then I just quit reading it. So I think I started trying to read that again, and I was really interested in it. I was like, wow, I kind of want to start reading more again. So then Bailey would recommend me more books, and I just continued to read. I've always loved reading, but I had periods where I would read a lot, especially in high school, and then some where I was just way too busy or had too much going on, so I couldn't read as much. And she introduced me to Goodreads, and she was like, you should really set yourself a goal for this year, so at the end you can see your stats and everything. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want to do that. I didn't want to set a huge goal because I didn't really know if I was going to actually continue with it this time or if I was just going to stop after that book. So I only set a goal for 20 books to read in 2020, so I did actually accomplish it. I just finished the last book about a week ago. I'm actually really proud of myself. I wasn't sure exactly if I was going to meet the goal or not, but I did, so yay. I'm not sure exactly what my goal for 2021 is. I have a rough estimate, but so basically I'm going to go ahead and do the Goodreads 2020 year in books and show you guys some of my stats, and then after that I'll probably do my favorites and least favorites of the year. Okay, so it says 2020 my year in books. So I read 5,990 pages, and then obviously like I said earlier, I read 20 books. My shortest book was 80 pages, and it's Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. And then my longest book, which was 484 pages, was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer, and more about that book later, but just know. My average book length in 2020 was 299 pages. My most popular book was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. 583,637 people also shelved that book, which I was kind of expecting that out of the books I read this year because that book is really popular. The least popular book was Girls Who Run the World, 31 CEOs Who Mean Business. So only 1,886 people also shelved that book, and that's kind of surprising, I guess. I mean, I found that book at my local library and I'd never heard of it before, and I was like, I kind of want to try this, so I never really heard of it. My average rating for 2020 was 4 stars, which Honestly, yeah, I'm not that tough of a critic, so basically, if anything like keeps my attention span and is pretty good, I'll rate it like a 3 or a 4. I'm not very like skilled with that. I just kind of go off of the first thing that really comes to my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, that would probably be a good rating. So the highest rated book that I read that is on Goodreads is This Book is Anti-Racist by Tiffany Jewell. I got into the part where it shows every single book I read. So we're going to just scroll through these and we can look at all the books I read. So the first one was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Then I read Beach Read by Emily Henry. Then I read The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I read The Duff by Cody Keplinger. I read This Book is Anti-Racist by Tiffany Jewell. For Everyone by Jason Reynolds. Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. Call Me By Your Name by Andre Ackerman. A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Girls Who Run the World by Diana Kapp. Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kemmerer. Ghost by Raina Telgemeier. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The Right Swap by Alicia Ra. And then the last book I read was The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nhi Vo. That's all the books I read, and now I'm going to go basically in and just talk about my absolute favorites and then the ones that I wasn't that into, I guess, so my dislikes. So obviously, like I've mentioned a few other times in this video already, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was one of my top favorites of the year. I rated it 5 stars, obviously, and basically it is about Evelyn Hugo, who is nearing the end of her life. She picks this writer slash journalist, I believe, to write her like last interview. Basically her whole life she wants her to write, and so it's basically Evelyn telling this girl about her life and retelling it and everything that happens. So that's basically all. I think that's like non-spoilery. Also really enjoyed Beach Read by Emily Henry. It's basically about this girl who's in her 30s, I think, and she goes to her beach house that used to be her father's, who passed away, and she's there basically trying to like, I think she's about to like sell it. The beach house right next to her is basically her like arch nemesis from like college, and they're both authors and they're trying to write their next book, and it's like enemies to lovers, and it's basically everything that unfolds from there. Really enjoyed that book a lot, and also read it at the beach, so it's like, it's pretty cool. I actually really loved The Prince and the Dressmaker, like loved. It is pretty short, it's a graphic novel, but basically it is about this dressmaker who is assigned to make dresses for the prince, but at night he dresses as Lady Cristelia, and so he needs a bunch of like special dresses. So the seamstress basically has to make all these dresses for her, and she's super talented, and they began to become really good friends, and it's just like really cute, and I really loved that book. Obviously it wouldn't be a favorite if I didn't mention Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book literally took me like, I only think like 2 or 3 days to read. It literally went by so fast. I loved this book. So it is about the first son of the United States and his relationship with Prince Henry, the Prince of Wales. So this is also enemies to lovers, and I seriously love that like whole theme. It's just like super good. It literally like made me cry. I wouldn't even say cry, I guess like tear up. I'm kind of heartless. It seriously was so cute. There's even a lot of good humor in it. I love the friend group dynamic and everything, and I just really like this book, so I would also recommend this for people maybe if you don't necessarily even read a lot. Another one of my top favorites, Pumpkinheads. This is another graphic novel, but I really love this book. I read it in October, obviously, because like it takes place at a pumpkin patch, and it's about these two people who worked there every year around fall. Basically all night they're like on this mission and they can't seem to like connect, but the night is just like so hectic because it's like the last night I think on the pumpkin patch until it closes, and I think they're both going to college. And then honestly my top book for 2020 would probably have to be A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. This is a Beauty and the Beast story retelling, but to me, I know a lot of people don't like that, but to me this book basically really didn't even feel like that. I mean, obviously the themes are the same and everything, but like it felt more in depth to me. Like obviously the story is a little bit different and there's like obviously whole different characters and everything, but I just really liked this book. I love this book so much, and obviously a short while later I read the sequel, A Heart So Fierce and Broken. Really excited for the third book. It comes out in a few weeks, so I'm excited to read that, but I'm really sad this is going to end. So for a few of my dislikes of the year, so unfortunately I did not enjoy The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I know like a lot of people like this book. My sister really likes this book, but I really didn't. This is about a girl whose sister wins everything. She's super lucky and she ended up winning a free honeymoon. So it's the day of the wedding and everyone eats at the buffet except two people, and it's the main character who is the girl's sister and then this other guy. They don't eat from the buffet. Well, everyone ends up getting food poisoning except these two people, obviously. So then the sister's like, you have to go on the honeymoon for me. So they both go on the honeymoon, even though they completely hate each other. So it's enemies to lovers. Thought I would really enjoy it. But basically, I just thought it was like pretty bland, honestly. Like nothing really happens for like a while in the book, in my opinion. And I just couldn't really get into their relationship. Another one that I wasn't like super into or would like rave about would be They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, because I also read this book pretty quickly too. That's what's kind of funny about this. I'm like, I read these books pretty quick. But basically in this world of when this book takes place, you have an app. It calls you the day that you're going to die and it tells you you're going to die today. They also have this app in this world where you can meet up with people who are also dying that day. One of the main characters, he meets the other character on the app and they spend the whole day together, and it's just like their adventures and what they do because it's their last day on Earth and what happens. So, I mean, personally, the book was okay. The ending makes me extremely mad. I hated the ending. The last book I'm going to talk about that I didn't like that much, or like I had a okay experience reading, is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. About this girl who has never met this whole family, but she gets called to go to this huge mansion and they basically tell her, you're one of the main inheritors of this guy who just passed away's will. And she gets like $40 billion. Basically, it's this whole puzzle though. The person who left her all this money was a fan of puzzles and games. So she basically has to figure out how she's being left all this money. I wasn't like the biggest fan of the ending either on this book. I feel like it was kind of a letdown, but yeah, that is basically my Goodreads year in review. And then some of my favorites and least favorites of 2020. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, and if you've never seen my face before, subscribe down below to see when I make a new video. You can also hit the bell notification to be notified when I make a new video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.